What is up, woke family? Civil Wokey Bucks, and I'm back again with another video. Reason number 97 why men should not date single mothers. Let's get into this video, man.
Hi guys, what is up? So in this video, I got a request here. This is some dialogue back and forth, some text dialogue between a guy and his girlfriend. And they get in a little bit of a spat over what she's doing with her time with her kid and the father of her kid. We'll just put it that way. This actually popped up in a discussion forum somebody forwarded me because they were making reference to a chapter in my book. So I thought I would add some context to it and some clarity. And it's really just like reason number 97 why you don't deal with single moms. So let me just read this and then I'll provide you the context. So it says over here, blah, 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 back and forth. And then she goes, I want to let you know that I'm meeting with, I'm not even going to mention the kid's name, but, you know, the kid and her dad after work for dinner and a film. We'll be done around 9 or 10. I just wanted to let you know before I accepted the invite. I hope that doesn't bother you. Now, first things first here, she's not asking for his permission. She's not asking for his forgiveness or anything. She's just basically telling him.
And I'm going to say this. I know I'm interrupting my man, Richard Cooper. Shout out to Richard Cooper. But this is what guys have to understand when you're going into relationships with single moms, bro. She doesn't respect you because she doesn't have that emotional attachment to you through you giving her the child. So why would you put yourself through that, right? You listening to that, like I said, even before my brother Richard Cooper said it, right? She didn't even ask the man if it was okay. And that just goes to show you that she doesn't respect him. And if she doesn't respect him, how can she love him? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of guys are going through similar situations, you understand? And it's like, to avoid spats like that, according to what he said, right? You want to definitely make sure that if anything, she has respect for you. Because if she has respect for you, everything else is going to work itself out. But let's continue, though.
I'm going to go hang out with my kid and her dad. And we're going to go watch a movie and have dinner together. And then she says, I hope that doesn't bother you. So he responds with, I'm going to put it the way it sounds in my brain. My girlfriend is hanging out with...
Stop recording podcasts on Zoom. There's a new, better way. Say hello to Riverside and start recording podcasts that look and sound professional. Go to
at her apartment with an ex-boyfriend and her daughter while I'm at work. Now, he's not wrong, but let's just continue. Actually, I would be going to his house, and yes, that is what is happening, but I have had this tradition with him for years and kept it since I moved out before you and I met. And he says, I know.
See, this is my thing. I get that, but I'm going to just be real. If she were dealing with the masculine man, and I'm not trying to say this to shame him, but I'm just being honest. If she were dealing with the masculine man, that's something that she would have had to stop doing. If she respected him. Y'all as guys, or y'all as woke ones, man, y'all got to get your girl, like if you're in a relationship, you have to get your woman to respect you, bro. She's not going to respect you if you do not set certain boundaries. And I understand that she has a child and whatever the situation may be, but it's like you have to set certain boundaries for her to respect you as a man. She cannot respect you if you don't set those boundaries, my man. Let's continue, though.
And then the second page and the last one says, okay, then, so now he rephrases it. My girlfriend is going to her ex-boyfriend's house to hang out with him and his daughter while I'm at work. And then she says, I'm trying to understand what bothers you about this? And he says, it's a respect issue. It feels disrespectful when my girlfriend goes to her ex-boyfriend's house to hang out with him and his daughter while I'm at work. If you're still doing that after you've broken up, then your relationship is not over. I'm not a cuck.
Good.
I'm going to define cuck for the new people watching because there's always like a dozen people. What's a cuck, Rich?
So I'm going to be honest with you. Based off of what we've listened to already, I respect the boyfriend for standing on his principles because a lot of guys would have caved, and it's like if you cave, she's not going to respect you, G. You know what I'm saying? So I give him mad respect for standing on principle. Let's continue though. And he's right for saying he's not a cuck. I don't know what Richard Cooper is going to use to explain cuck, but from my own definition of a cuck, someone who's a cuck is basically a guy who allows his girlfriend to basically get smashed by other men. Or to basically get played. The dude who's in a relationship with a girl is getting played. Does that make sense? He's basically getting played.
A cuckold is somebody that essentially raises the child of another man Or, I mean, there's any number of definitions. It's always disparaging. Basically, he likes to watch another man be intimate with his wife or girlfriend. He raises the child of another man. There's a whole bunch of different ways that it's been defined, but that's essentially what it is. It's not flattering. It's always disparaging. And then he says, if I'm on the wrong, please tell me how. She says, I can't answer you right now because I'm about to log into a meeting. Let's talk later, blah, blah, blah. And, that's typically how things like that go. And speaking of going, I have to get a move on here. I got shit to do. So the context to that I thought was, well, I mean, it's kind of funny and interesting at the same time. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're going to deal with a single mom, you're going to deal with shit like this. It's just inevitable. You invite a woman into your life that has a child or children in tow from a different marriage or a relationship or a boyfriend or something like that. You're going to end up in a situation like this sooner or later. In this case, it just sounds like it's one kid. I've come across a number of different guys that I've dealt with on a one-on-one coaching basis, and sometimes it's multiple kids from multiple different fathers. You want to talk about adding, inviting complexity and complicating your life unnecessarily? Go date a chick that's got a bunch of kids from a bunch of different men and see how easy, lucrative, and fun your life ends up being in an environment like that. It just doesn't. It ends up being a freaking nightmare. So, is this guy...
It's a freaking nightmare, according to what my man said, right? What my man said, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with multiple men. You're competing against multiple men, right? Just to be able to put yourself in that position of being number one. Wow, you're never going to be number one because she has children with other men. She has soul ties to other men. You understand? Don't do that to yourself, man. I'd advise any guy who's in a relationship right now or who's dealing with single mothers, leave them, bro. But give them a reason as to why.
Wrong? Well, not really. I mean, would you want your girlfriend or wife hanging out with an ex, having dinner and a movie? I understand that there's an anchor here, which is the kid, the common sort of denominator between these two people. But, guys like this are forever going to struggle with this dynamic. Women hate it when guys have children from a prior relationship and they don't. Guys generally are more accepting, if we can put it that way, of women's past and her choices. But the biggest difference, generally between men and women is when it comes to men, generally speaking, they have a lot less custody than women. I think women get something like 80% of the custody order still. And something like 43 or 44% of children today are raised by a single mother. Generally speaking, if you're a man or a woman and you're dating, if you're a dude dating a woman with kids, she's got her kids pretty much all the time. A lot of these dudes, even if they have children of their own, they often end up in a scenario where they spend more time raising some other dude's kids than they do raising their own kids, right? Now, the reference that he made to cuck, it's...
Hey, I'm Bobby Lee from Square. Guess what? Square has APIs and SDKs that allow you to build payments into your own...
it's pretty much spot on because she's basically cucking him by spending time with this guy. Some may disagree, others may argue it, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's got a point. The point of this that I'm really trying to make here is it doesn't matter how you try to slice and dice this. They say there's all these different ways to skin a cat and deal with it, blah, 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 blah. Sure, but again, as I mentioned in that chapter of my book, and it's also in one of the 20 red flags, and the book and the 20 red flags, it's pinned below. The 20 red flag chapter you can get for free, by the way. You just get on my email list, that's pinned below. You can see what all the details are there, or you can just grab the book, it's on Amazon. But the point that I'm trying to make is stop inviting complexity into your life unnecessarily by dealing with single mommies. There's always extra layers of problem that show up when you start dealing in this area. It's never simple, it's never easy, it definitely isn't fun, and it sure as hell ain't lucrative. You want an easy, lucrative, and fun life? Don't date single mommies. Stay away from them. If you want to, get into an FWB type of scenario, friends with benefits, fine. But as soon as she starts giving you the, hey, my kids have been looking over my shoulder and wondering who I've been texting, and I think it'd be cool if, you came over sometime and you met them sort of thing and took us all out to Chuck E. Cheese and blah, blah, blah. That's when you're like, nope, next, I'm good. That is the extent that you should, that is.
And I'll even go further than what Richard Cooper is saying, right? I'll even go further than that. I would even encourage guys not to deal with them at all, right? By leaving that option open, you're basically trying to say that it's okay for you to be friends with benefits with them. I would not encourage that. I generally would not encourage that at all. You understand? Because the minute you encourage that, you're allowing negative things to happen to your life. She's not thinking about you. She's thinking about other men. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to be able to start competing against other men for her attention. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth it. I'm just telling you, it's not worth it. Be smart. Be wise.
That is a boundary. That is a barrier, gentlemen, that you should put around yourself and your life, especially if you're a single guy with no kids. I mean, in my book, in the chapter dealing with single moms, there was one exception which I mentioned that might be ideal for a guy with a kid to date a single mom. You can go read it, but it's generally speaking mostly single guys with no kids dealing with women that have kids. Dudes are so forgiving, way too forgiving in taking on the burden of essentially what is the performance of playing the role of a parent, and they end up having no authority as a parent, but 100% responsibility as a parent to a kid that they didn't even father, doesn't have their DNA, sure as hell doesn't have their last name. There's no benefit to it, absolutely none whatsoever. It's all downside and risk. And, speaking of risk, to give you an example, I can't count the number of guys that I've had conversations with that were dating single mommies that put themselves in an environment or essentially a position where, because they were with them for a certain period of time and where they lived in their state or province, the government, the state, let's just call it, viewed it as a marriage, because after you live together for a certain period of time, it's almost common law, you can be on the hook, and several guys have been on the hook for child support for a kid that you did not father, that does not have your last name and doesn't have your DNA, because you played the...
You and the woman obviously are intimate sexually, and she gets pregnant, right? You definitely want to make sure you get the DNA test done as soon as the child is born, or if possible, if you can do it before, to be able to verify that that is your child, so you don't have to end up paying child support for 18 plus years, because a lot of women are going to hide the fact, especially if they're promiscuous, right? Especially if they're living that type of life. They're going to hide what they've been doing, and they're going to make you look like the dummy. So don't do that. A lot of guys are going through this because a lot of guys are so quick to sign the birth certificate and they don't even know whether they're the father or not. You have to be very, very cautious. Let's continue, though.
Long enough. So in the eyes of the state, in the eyes of the government, that's sufficient for them to basically say, well, Bill, even though they didn't come out of your balls and you didn't father them, you still spent 2.5 years living together acting as a father, and you're now on the hook for child support for, until they're adults, basically. So, again, you guys can post these things and say, dialogue here and there, and here's a field report, and how would you deal with this, and da-da-da, I'm with a single mom, and, the kid, blah, 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 not straight. Why? Why? Seriously, man, why? Just don't do it. The only reason, and I'm going to close on this note, let's wrap this up. The only reason why dudes deal with single moms is generally because, one, there's an abundance of them, and I understand that because, there's no accountability, to women. I know that there's some YouTube channels out there that get a lot of views and make a lot of money off trying to hold women accountable, to reasonable standards or even men's reasonable standards, and they never go anywhere. It just goes for entertainment. The ones I'm talking about, sort of thing. But it's absolutely absurd and unnecessary to do any of that stuff when the only reason why you're generally dealing with single moms is because you are making concessions. You're lowering your standards. If you want to live a better life, if you want to get more out of life, if you want to...
I want to say this one quick point. I want to make this one quick point to what Richard Cooper just said. He said that a lot of guys are lowering their standards. Listen to him carefully. He said a lot of guys are lowering their standard when it comes to the women that they're dating or women that they're taking seriously, right? One thing you have to understand about that is that when you lower your standards for women that you're dealing with, you have to understand she's not lowering her standards for you. She still expects you to make uh, she still expects you to make $100,000 a year. She still expects you to be 6 feet tall. She still expects like she's not lowering her standards for you, but you're lowering your standards for her. That's why I'm telling you, a lot of guys need to really be woke about these things because a lot of guys are getting played like this. 100%. You're getting played without even fully knowing it. You gotta be smart. If she's not lowering her standards for you, you better not lower your standards for her. But a lot of guys are doing that unaware about the reality about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Real talk. All right, let's continue.
Excel at life and basically live in an easy, lucrative, fun life, sort of thing, you need to hold yourself to higher standards. There's no guy that I know of that's successful, wealthy, in great shape, interesting, captivating. They do fun things with their lives. They've got a lot of social proof. They've got influence. They're more of a top shelf sort of guy that is going to select a woman with kids in tow over a woman that's younger, hotter, more fertile, without some other dude's kids in tow. They always go for the younger, hotter ones without kids. Be that guy, right? Level yourself up so that you're in the top 1%, 5%, whatever that happens to be, but be that guy where you get into the top percentile sort of thing, and then you don't have to deal with any of this nonsense. You can just move past it and just be like, no, you're cute and all, and I don't mind doing, limited sort of like friends with benefits sort of arrangement, but I don't want to meet Billy and Bobby and Sally or any, forget it. Don't invite that problem in your life, and you'll never have to have, conversations like this with a bunch of random strangers on a chat board after you read some books or watched a couple of videos, asking them to try to, offer you some clarity and some help with the dumb shit that you've, been doing with your life. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Smash the like button, leave a comment below, and again, pin to the top comment. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna give you my last thoughts, guys, and then we're gonna head into the next video. But like I said before, again, you really, really, really need to be careful about when it comes to your interactions with single moms because they can drag you down if you're not wise enough to be able to see the reality for what it is. A lot of people tend to lower their standards, especially a lot of men, because they don't see the value in which they're dealing with, right? They don't see the value in themselves or the potential value. If you don't start to see the potential value within yourself, you're gonna start lowering your standards for people that are not worth it. You understand? So my thing is that it's best for you not to lower your standards and to just focus on the things that are actually important so that you can become wiser as time goes on. You feel what I'm saying? We're gonna get into the next video right now. So let's do it.
I have decided to name a new heir. I'm your heir.
What up, YouTube? I am your host, mediocre tutorials and reviews. Back in here with one more video. Guys, you looking at the title of the video, you looking at the thumbnail. You already know what time it is. We must get active. Shout out to YouTube content creator Sarah Lena. I reviewed videos of her in the past. I want to say it had to be at least a year ago. All right. I think she went radio silent for a little while. Regardless, let's get back in there today. Title of her video, Why Modern Women Aren't Submissive. This content was sent to me on my Instagram, at Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. It's long, but you know how to spell. If you don't, there's a link down in the description box down below. Go up there and follow your boy. Would appreciate your support. All right? Without further ado.
His family, so this is going to be another requested video. This is coming from a brother that says his woman is not necessarily disrespectful. She just will not submit to him. She is not cooperative. She won't listen. She thinks she knows it all.
Okay, so we're going to start off by saying this. If you're saying that she's not disrespectful, but she's not cooperative, you have to understand, if she's not cooperative with you, she's combative. Off rip. Let me say that again. If she's not cooperative with you, she's combative. You cannot go two ways about it. You feel what I'm saying? She has to be one or the other. So what do I advise the men? You want to deal with women that are going to be able to go along with your program. They have to see the value in you, though. But the thing is that a woman probably like herself is willing to settle for a man like you. Because I promise you, bro, and I promise you guys, right? When it comes to women that you actually like, if they see your value, they're going to cooperate with you, bro. No matter who she is. Let's continue.
And so he wanted some advice on how to make, he referred to her as an alpha woman, how to make an alpha woman more submissive. And so instead, I'm going to do a video on reasons why modern women do not submit in their relationships today. And so hopefully some of the things I say in this video will resonate with you and you can come up with your own solutions based on the information you learn here. So number one is her upbringing. Representation matters. If she has never seen a woman submitting to a man, or if she has never witnessed anything positive come out of a feminine woman submitting to a man, then she will be less likely to be the type of woman to grow to be submissive in a relationship. Oftentimes, our mothers are our first role models as girls. Our mothers teach us what it means to be feminine, what it means to be womanly. And a lot of times our mothers are not feminine because unfortunately in our communities, a lot of mothers are single mothers that are doing things on their own, so they tend to be a little bit more on the masculine side. And no, a lot of us don't want to say anything negative about our mothers. We don't want to make it seem like our mothers didn't do the best that they could with what they knew and with what they had. But I'll say it for you. A lot of us had horrible representation of what a feminine woman is. The same way we say a woman can't raise a boy to be a man because a boy needs a man.
That's facts. At least she admitted it, right? The reality of the situation is that a lot of women and a lot of men have bad role models. There are not masculine men in the household to really be able to deal with the situation, to be able to give them some type of advice on how they should be able to move so that they can become the best version of themselves. And then from there, when a lot of the women tend to turn to stripper poles and the men become thugs and gangsters, you wonder why. You wonder why. You feel what I'm saying? But let's continue, though.
In order to know what a man is and what a man does, it's the same thing when it comes to being a woman. In order for a girl to grow to be a woman that is feminine, she needs that representation young. And if she doesn't have it, she's not going to grow to be that way.
The most impactful thing that I think that she said there, outside of all there's no false, there's no fake news in anything that she just said. But I think that the most impactful thing that I attached to in the way that she said it is that women who grow up without seeing the example of a feminine woman, but it's also not seeing the positive result of being a positive woman, which, if you think about it, men, we are way more accustomed to understanding the results of being a masculine man. But from a woman's perspective, not only do they not see it, but there's a whole media engine that tells them, bump your femininity. There's movements, feminism.
Stop recording podcasts on Zoom. There's a new, better way. Say hello to Riverside and start recording podcasts that look and sound professional.
Which makes them more masculine if they pay attention to the third and fourth wave versions of it, which makes them much more masculine, which from a dating relationship perspective doesn't make them any more attractive to men, right? It might make them more money into the future and pursuing whatever it is that they're pursuing to be the most awesome that they can. But what you find is that throughout the entirety of their life, when they take a look back and they look at all of the instances that they could have attracted a man that would have been their protector and provider, they lost out on those opportunities. So now they're living alone, right? We all got aunties. Yeah, we all got aunties. You just like, every barbecue, she always coming up here single as hell. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
Growing up, oftentimes feminine representation kind of looked like some little helpless Disney princess that was waiting on a prince to come save her, or some dumb blonde that was a...
Because it's facts. Because it's facts. Let's be honest. If you're a woman that's poor and you're homeless on the street, you're always, majority of the time, you're always going to find a man that's going to come and pick you up from the street and want to save you. Now, if you're a man going through that same situation, nobody's coming to save you. Most people are not going to come to save you. You have to be able to get it out the mud. You have to be able to become successful. You have to be able to become somebody of value. Now, I know a lot in the manosphere, a lot in this space. What do they try to tell us? They try to tell us that as a man, you're not born value. And I think that's cap. Let me say that again. As a man, I think that is cap, that you're not born with value. I think we all as men are born with value. But we have to be able to dig it out. It's innate. It's within us, though. Listen to me carefully. There's two different types of value. So there's the woman's value, and she's also born with value. But her value is already out from when she's a little girl, because her value is determined from how beautiful she looks, right? So a woman's value is being determined based off of how beautiful she looks, the amount of children that she can have, and the type of relationship she can build and cultivate with people, right? Now, as a man, your value is determined off of how successful you become. You have to cultivate that. Your level of success has already been determined before you were born. Now it's just up to you to determine if you're really going to be able to get to that potential. Because even though your success has been cultivated or has been predetermined, a lot of people don't even get to that level because they don't want to see themselves get to that level. They would rather be sad and be excessively sad about life instead of try to work towards becoming the person you know you're meant to become. So I promise you, it's literally about mentality. Your mentality is going to determine how far you get. But if you don't have the right mentality, how far can you really get far? No. Let's continue.
Spoiled rich brat.
As if. What, like it's hard?
Or some big booty hoe that was being disrespected in a music video. Or a woman that was very abused and that had no voice and that was some type of victim.
Color purple. Anime.
These are often what we had to go by for what it meant to be feminine as young girls. And so
weak, docile, it's so crazy to look at this new age description of femininity. And I think like spaces over here on YouTube are trying to reimagine and repurpose, reprioritize the strength of what it means to be a feminine woman. But like, I see it as a degree of weakness is to see a masculine woman, or a degree of a woman that grew up in a tortured or toxic environment. And if they take on these masculine traits, right, because they did not see the positives, the value in being feminine, and instead they got all of this bullshit purported to them about how...
I definitely agree. I think part of it is that it's not that they didn't see the value of being feminine, MTR, but the thing is that what I've come to realize is that when it comes to women are going to behave according to the environment in which they're in and the stuff in which they were basically explained to as little children and as teenagers. If majority of women grew up in a safe environment, I don't think there'd be any reason for them to be masculine. It's majority of the women that grew up in very, 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 very unsafe environments that behave very, very masculine. Because they would have no reason to act masculine if they grew up in a safe environment. They would have no reason to act masculine if they weren't told from when they were young children that men aren't worth anything. They would have no reason to act masculine if they had a strong male figure. So it's reasons like this that cause a woman to go into her masculine, because a woman naturally wants to go into her feminine. But when you're raised in the wrong environment, when you don't have father figures that are masculine in your life, that are going to give you advice, when you're not raised, like I said, there are so many different factors that can determine how successful you become, like when it comes to being a woman. But when you're not given all those things, it makes it a lot harder for you. But even with that being said, you have to make the initiative as a woman to be able to really figure out what you have to do to be able to get out of that situation. So there's so many different factors involved. 100%. Let's continue though.
How, but if you're feminine, you're weak, right? And it's not those exact words, but we're all products of our environments. You understand what I'm saying? We're all products, and we're gonna take on what we see from a family perspective, what we see from a media perspective, and when we're hit with day by day these subconscious, right, forms of information, it starts to become us. It just is what it is. That's how you got people on other sides of the world. And if I drop you in that country, you sit here and you'll look around like, yo, is this even Earth? Right? Because they have their own culture, societal norms, societal pressures, right? Which makes a culture, forms a culture. And right now, we have a culture that doesn't respect femininity, well, at least a culture of women that don't respect.
Yeah, a culture of women that doesn't respect femininity, a culture of women that don't respect men. Facts.
Their femininity, don't know how to enhance it, don't even know how to work on it. Let's keep it moving.
So if it's not something that's admirable, if it's not something that's respectable, of course girls don't want to grow up to be like that. But you know what female stereotype is admired and respected and glorified and acknowledged and overvalued in the Black community? The strong, independent Black woman, especially the single mother that don't need no man. We take Father's Day and give it to single mothers. We take Mother's Day and we say, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, especially the single mothers. You know, now I think people go about it the wrong way by bashing single mothers. It is something that is tough and it is something that should be respected. However, I do think that it is over-glorified in the community so much that
this is my thing. I think the only time you should be respected as a single mother, listen to me carefully, woke family, for what I'm saying. The only time you should be respected as a single mother is if the father left the household. If he made the decision to leave the household and you took the responsibility of the father and the mother to raise a child, I give you that. But we're not putting into perspective that there are a lot of single mothers in the Black community, especially, that chase away good men from their life. That man that was inside of his child's life probably wanted to raise a child, and you were very, very combative, very, very arrogant, very, very prideful, and you made him to want to leave. Now, I get that there are certain aspects when it comes to women, especially after you are pregnant and you have a child. What do they call it? I think it's called postpartum, where you start to develop a lot of emotions, especially because of your hormones. But it's like, I'm telling you, when it comes to the majority of men, they don't want to be in situations where they always have to argue with women. It's annoying. Try to be the man's peace. Not saying that he shouldn't be able to have peace without dealing with you, but a man doesn't want to have to go out and fight the world just to come back to you and you're pissing him off and you're making him angry. It's not necessary. Try to be his peace. Let's continue.
That we don't want to be honest about that lifestyle.
Yes.
That is depressing. It is stressful.
She's good.
It is unhealthy, not only to the woman itself, but to her children. And so because that strong, independent woman was the representation of what a lot of women had, a lot of women grow today to have the education, to have the degree, to have the job, but they are still miserable.
Yes.
A lot of them have absolutely no idea how to attract or keep a good man. A lot of them are labeled as angry Black women because they do not know how to express themselves without being disrespectful or condescending. They don't know how to get their point across in a feminine, nurturing way because they did not have a feminine representation. A lot of them have no idea how to maintain a social life and to keep bonds with other women because they did not have a feminine representation. A lot of modern women have a lot of insecurities when it comes to their physical appearance and their bodies because they were never taught by a feminine woman how to maintain, embrace, and properly nurture their body. And so they do all these type of things to cover up their insecurities. A lot of modern women are stressed, depressed, lonely, low sex drive, having issues getting pregnant, and so many of this could be prevented if they had a feminine role model to teach them how to be a woman. And so again,
you know what's something I just thought of? She talked about all of these different things, and as she was saying all of these different things, I was thinking, well, how did it become to be that way? And there's some other systemic issues that we can talk about. But like one thing that just popped into my mind is like, this is actually one of the negatives of having a country full of free speech.
100%. 100%. When you have a country full of free speech, it makes it very, very hard for people to be able to fall within line of their God-given roles. God gave men the ability to be able to be providers and to take care of the family, and women to be able to be feminine and submissive and cooking. But when we live in a society which has become almost very, very much demonized to have the woman become the man and the man to become the woman, you see why everything is outside of order. That's why the single motherhood rate is up. There's so many different factors. But let's continue.
This is because you can get businesses that are created and that can market products and can market ideas and can market to people's emotions in a way to have them feign accountability, to have them feel like entitlement is required, right? To feel like shame is dangerous, right? Like, no, shame is not dangerous. I think shame to a degree, it depends how far that you push it, okay, can be very good in helping to shape a healthy community of people, You understand me? So like, that's part of the negative of free speech. Like, if you maintain speech, right? Like most of every other country outside the United States does, you have a less likely opportunity to be able to do that. But I would say this idea of free speech has worked so well for America that I'd rather the free speech happen, because I think what's going to happen is the good information will inevitably boil up to the top, but it's going to take decades, if not centuries, for it to be able to do that. I think what you see out on YouTube is this blossoming of information that can actually help people get to their goals, to stop thinking short term of all the ish that's being marketed to them, the bullshit that's being placed in front of their eyes short term, the benefits that they see out of this short term lifestyle, and look into the long term. Because more often than not, you're gonna lead a long life. What are you doing to maintain your happiness within that? I'm talking to dudes as well. What are you doing to maintain and exceed the expectations of the goals that you have hopefully already set for yourself?
Many of us don't want to hurt our mother's feelings, so we don't want to suggest that she didn't do a good job raising us. But the truth of the matter is, many of us women had a horrible representation of what a feminine woman is. She did not have a submissive feminine woman to look up to. Therefore, she is not a feminine, submissive woman today.
You know what else is?
Use Square Web Payments SDK to build a responsive payment form. Customize your front end, accept all the ways to get paid. Then use Square Payments API to process these payments securely in your backend. It's easy. Get started in just a few steps.
We know the proven playbooks of e-commerce marketing inside and out. Using Drip, you can implement them with the click of a button and automate your campaigns to drive revenue while you sleep. Grow your customer list with web forms, send and automate emails and SMS, and get reports to see what revenue your marketing drives. Bring your passion to more customers and make your store revenue soar.
Damaging about that, not having a good representation of it, is because there's a lot of young women that never had good representations of it, but they still led fantastic and relatively healthy lives, but they find themselves
I'll be honest though, I definitely get where you're coming from, MTR, but I will say this though, for the women that were eventually able to escape what we'll call as the matrix in this situation, because like I said, society has tried to build women to be very masculine, not understand the point of having a masculine male figure in your life, and you fail to understand that it's very, very hard for a lot of women, specifically, especially having trauma and issues from their childhood, to escape situations like that. But when you get to a point where you have been able to escape the situation, it's a blessing, because most people won't. But if you were able to, perfect. You understand? So with that being said, the goal is to be able to understand where the issue is and move accordingly and to be able to fix it. Let's continue though.
struggling in relationships with men and competing for that leadership spot, but they don't yet realize that in that competition, they'll inevitably not be happy anyway, but they've not seen it into their past. Shit, I've had recent dating / relationships, and I look at the relationship that the mother had with the boyfriend or the husband, and then I look at the relationship and how she chooses to have dialogue and have conversations with me, and I'm just like, that is a direct representation. And man, she does not understand that she does not curtail the way that she chooses to represent herself to me, then she's gonna leave a long, unhappy life, not really understanding usually until it's too late, usually until that wall has already hit, and now she has to significantly reduce her standards to attract the man that she's actually looking for.
Which a lot
But
of them
not really looking for, because she could have gotten earlier when she was in her prime.
She looked up to a single independent woman that didn't need a man, and so today, that is what she is.
That said, I'm a strong woman because a strong woman raised me. That's what it said.
Number 2 kind of ties into number 1 a little bit, and that is a lot of modern women, and men for that matter, have the wrong idea of what it means to be submissive in a relationship. A lot of men and women have a tainted and imbalanced understanding of submission nowadays. It's amazing how many women have said to me something along the lines of, oh, so in order for me to have a good man, that means I gotta be weak, and that means I gotta be stupid, that means I gotta think the man is superior to me. Like, that's not what it means. I would never.
But God technically created the man to be superior to the woman. Because let's put it in this perspective, right? Let's put it in this perspective. If you guys were to be stranded on the island, right? If you were to be stranded on the island and you had to survive on that island for 2 weeks, what are the women going to do? They're going to panic and be scared and wonder, how am I going to be able to survive without any money, without any comfortability, family, people I know? But and that's what majority of the women, let's just say it's 5, 10 women, that's what they're going to do on the island. But the men are going to figure out, how can I create houses, like some type of shelter? How am I going to be able to get food through fishing? How am I going to be able to wash my clothes with water and some type of soap, or use something as like a soap replacement? You know what I'm saying? They're going to be thinking logically, where the women are going to be panicking in emotion. That's why God created men to be superior to women. It's not a bad thing. But the thing is that society has taught women to not know their place when it comes to dealing with masculine men, especially because the majority of the men are not masculine. They're feminine. So for the ladies, when you do come across a masculine man, respect him, man, because he's very rare.
Tell a woman to think like that, but that is what a lot of sisters think of when they think of being submissive. They think that that means that they are a slave, that they have no voice, that they can't have goals, they can't have any purpose in life aside from cooking and cleaning. A lot of times when we think of submission nowadays, we think about that scene on Coming to America, the first movie.
What do you like to do?
Whatever you like.
What kind of music do you like?
Whatever kind of music you like.
Look, I know what I like.
And she has no goals of her own, no opinions of her own. She's there simply to serve, satisfy, and obey him. And though there are...
And most dudes don't even want that. Like, to completely set, like, that would get so annoying. That would get so annoying. And so, like, even in, like, my past dating relationships, there was one lady, and it was whatever I wanted. She didn't really have friends like that. Like, it was just whatever. Beautiful girl, too. Beautiful. And she just, whatever I wanted to do was just it all the time. And I'd just be like, damn, like, I need my own space, too. Like, you know, go off and live your life.
If you record podcasts and videos remotely with Riverside, your content will look and sound so good no one will know.
Life. And then we can set days in a week.
I'll be honest with you. I agree with where the brother's coming from, because even if it's everything that I want, right? Like, for me, example, like, I even have experiences as well too, where it was a situation where the woman always wanted to hang around and talk and stuff, and it's like, sometimes you as a man, you need your own space to really be able to be productive and successful. How are you going to be productive and successful if you're always hanging around with the woman? You need to be able to give yourself time to really be able to recuperate and be able to understand who you are. So in turn, it can give her time to miss you, and for you to be able to focus on how you can be able to create a better life for yourself and for her, potentially, if she's going to be in the future with you. You know what I'm saying? But that cannot happen if you're not locked in and if you're always focusing on the woman. So there are so many different factors that are involved, but people don't see it. Let's continue though.
You know what I'm saying? To come over when she came, it was just all about, you know, and I think even that as well, like it made me pull back some because I think that I need a good, not negative challenger, but someone that when we put our ideas together, you know, it makes the ideas better overall. Like that's who I would consider more often than not for something a little bit more long-term, but not someone who's all up under your every move and beck and call and this and that. Like there's some dudes that I would say they're probably less experienced in the dating game that say that they want someone to be subservient or someone to serve completely. And I don't think that that's realistic for me. You understand me? I don't think it's realistic for me. I lose my mind after a while. Have your own goals, have your own opinions, have your own thoughts.
Are many men that push that narrative and that push that idea of submission. That is not what it means.
Yeah.
If it were up to some of those misogynistic men, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. But I don't listen to those types of men. I know that my role in society is completely different than what my role is inside of the home. In society, I am a leader, I am influential, I am a powerful woman, I am a coach and a mentor. But behind closed door, yes, I am submissive. Yes, I cook. Yes, I clean. Yes, I give massages. I do all of that. And it is possible.
This is what
We're gonna charge it up real quick, guys. We're not stopping the stream. We're not stopping the stream.
why, like, I feel like it's so important to put content like this on a pedestal and to be able to talk about this, because she hit on something fantastic right there, which from modern women, I think is a super foreign concept. And it's the idea that whatever you do in the workplace, the personality that you put up in the workplace, is it really that hard to switch that personality when you go home?
I think it is.
Is it really that hard?
I think it is for a lot of women, because the thing is that they believe that the way that they are at the workplace is who they are. If you want to be successful in your marriage, if you want to be successful in your relationship, you have to learn how to, let's just say, for example, you play like a boss role at work, you have to be able to come home and learn when to switch it off. Because if you don't, that's what causes divorces. That's what causes people to leave you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's not worth it. I told you, try to be your man's peace. As long as you can be his peace, every other thing else is going to work out. 100%. Especially if you vetted him out properly and you chose the right man. Let's continue.
Sarah Lena's doing it. She said that she's doing it. She got a big old ring on her finger. She got a big old ring on her finger. She said that she's doing it, but she understands that that's a component of being a modern woman. I think a lot of modern women don't understand that there is a degree of a role switch. There's a degree of a code switch, right? If you want to be a dude, especially a high value dude, there's a degree of a code switch that you have to undergo and to get really good at it. But shit, we code switch all throughout life. We code switch all throughout life. Shit, the person that I am in front of a camera is gonna code switch to a degree than speaking to the CEO of my 9-to-5, to a degree, right? It's not gonna go outside of my personality, but there might be words that I would choose up here that's gonna be different than the CEO of a company, and it just is what it is. I'm not losing myself by code switching to a degree, but the most successful of us are the ones that understand the degree of code switching in order to get the outcome that you are looking for. It's not pretending, it's not faking, it's just shifting yourself to a degree to fit within the norms or the structures that you are in to get the outcome, to get the results that you want. Strategy, that's all that is.
Possible to do both, but a lot of women have issues finding that balance because their definition of what it means to be submissive is imbalanced. So that's that one. Being submissive in a relationship does not mean that you are weak. That does not mean you are inferior. That does not mean you are a slave. That does not mean anybody is controlling every aspect of your life. Does not mean you can't have goals. That does not mean you can't have purpose outside of being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen 24/7. That does not mean any of that. But because that is what a lot of women assume when they think of submission, it kind of keeps them from going down that route.
All right. Listen, she's hit on so many fantastic points in these first 2 points, and I would say the second point is actually really related to the first point. But I'm gonna have you guys go up to the channel and finish out the rest of the video. Absolutely fantastic content. Just as I said before, it's really important that we go over content like this and be able to put it up on and to showcase in a way to try to get information out here that I think is more positive in nature, that will drive the culture more to the direction.
Let's fix this up real quick. All right. Yeah, this one. All right. Actually, no. Well, hold on. Yeah, we'll leave it. It's fine. We'll leave it. It's fine. Like I said before, guys. In regards to the situation, that is exactly why you're starting to see a lot of relationships crumble, just because of the fact that a lot of people are not focused on the things that actually matter and are trying to fit a certain stereotype or a certain narrative about how they have to be when it comes to being feminine and being submissive. And you don't understand that if you don't pay attention to the things that are necessary, it's going to be very, very hard for you to be successful, especially when you're looking to be successful. You know what I'm saying? So if you understand, it's because you're woke. If you don't understand, it's because you're not. It's because you're not woke. Unfortunately, we're gonna get into another video though. We might watch one more. Hold on 1 second, guys. Actually, no. We'll end it here. We'll end it here. This is gonna be into this live stream, guys. My apologies, guys. This is gonna be the end of this live stream. If you like this live stream, hold on. If you like this live stream, make sure you go spam that like button, leave comments, share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel at WokeEbucks, WOKEEBUKS. Tap the notification bell to get all of these videos that I post. Patreon link will be down in the description below, and so will social media links, so make sure you go give those a check. Without further ado, this is going into this live stream. This is WokeEbucks, and I'm out, man.